Welcome to Relaxing History, where the past whispers its most captivating secrets. Tonight, we descend into the shadows beneath Turkey's mystical Cappadocia, where entire civilizations once thrived in darkness. Imagine vast underground cities carved from volcanic rock, sheltering thousands of Byzantine souls from the world above. These hidden labyrinths hold stories of survival, faith, and human ingenuity that will leave you breathless. If you're ready to uncover the extraordinary, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible journeys through time. Chapter 1: Whispers from the Volcanic Earth. Beneath the golden light of dawn in Cappadocia, where fairy chimneys pierce the sky like ancient sentinels, the earth holds secrets that have slumbered for 1,000 years. The wind carries whispers through the volcanic tuff, speaking of a time when the Byzantine Empire faced its darkest hours, and entire communities vanished into the very ground beneath their feet. Here, in the heart of Anatolia, the soft volcanic rock tells a story of survival, faith, and extraordinary human ingenuity. The eruptions of Mount Erciyes and Mount Hasan, millennia past, gifted this landscape with something remarkable: stone that carved like clay yet hardened like fortress walls. The Byzantine Christians of the 7th century would discover that this seemingly barren land offered something no palace or stronghold could provide: the ability to disappear completely from the world above. Listen carefully to the wind as it moves through hidden passages. Each gust carries echoes from chambers where oil lamps once flickered against carved walls, where the scraping of tools against stone created rooms, corridors, and entire cities in the darkness below. The sounds drift upward through ventilation shafts so cleverly concealed that armies could march overhead, never suspecting thousands of souls breathed quietly in the depths beneath their feet. The entrances reveal themselves reluctantly to those who know where to look. A seemingly innocent stone, when shifted aside, opens into darkness that swallows torchlight. A narrow passage, barely wide enough for one person, descends into the earth at angles designed to confuse and discourage unwelcome visitors. These were not mere hiding places, but gateways to a shadow empire that stretched beneath the Cappadocian landscape like a mirror reflection of the world above. Step carefully down these ancient stairs, worn smooth by countless feet that fled the thunder of approaching Ghazi raids. The walls press close, carved with the precision of master craftsmen who understood that their work might mean the difference between life and death for entire communities. The volcanic tuff yielded to their tools, allowing them to hollow out chambers large enough for families, spaces deep enough for herds, halls vast enough for worship. In the suffused glow of lamplight, the underground cities reveal their true nature. These are not crude refuges scraped from desperation, but sophisticated urban complexes that housed thousands during the long centuries when the Byzantine Empire stood besieged. Water drips rhythmically in cisterns carved to catch and hold every precious drop. Storage chambers, their walls blackened by centuries of oil lamp flames, once held grain enough to sustain entire populations through months of siege. The deeper passages carry different sounds now, the muffled echoes of Byzantine chanting that once filled underground chapels. Here, where iconoclastic fervor could not reach, frescoes bloomed on rock walls like flowers in eternal spring. Saints gazed down from volcanic stone, their painted eyes reflecting lamplight as they watched over communities that had chosen faith over flight, depth over distance. These cities speak of a time when being Byzantine Christian meant more than loyalty to an emperor in distant Constantinople. It meant belonging to a civilization under constant threat, where innovation born from necessity created wonders that would outlast empires. The theme system that divided Anatolia into military districts may have provided organization above ground, but below the earth, different laws applied. Here, strategos and farmer, monk and merchant, all shared the same dim corridors when the horns sounded warning of approaching raiders. The ventilation shafts that pierce upward through solid rock demonstrate engineering knowledge that rivals any achievement of the age. Fresh air flows through channels carved with mathematical precision, ensuring that even in the deepest chambers, oil lamps burn steady and breathing remains easy. The circulation of air brings with it whispers from the surface world, the rustle of wind through fairy chimneys, the distant call of birds, reminders that life continues in both realms. Each carved doorway frames mysteries that archaeologists still uncover. Workshop spaces where craftsmen continued their trades by lamplight. Refectories where communities gathered for meals that sustained both body and spirit. Scriptoriums where scribes preserved texts on precious parchment, maintaining the intellectual traditions of Byzantium even in their subterranean exile. As night settles over modern Cappadocia, the underground cities rest in their ancient silence. But for those who listen carefully, the volcanic earth still whispers its secrets. The footsteps of Byzantine Christians still echo in chambers where faith carved its deepest foundations, where an empire learned to thrive not by reaching toward heaven, but by embracing the protective darkness of the earth itself. The pickaxe bites into volcanic tuff with a sound like breaking pottery. Each strike sends echoes cascading through corridors that stretch 18 levels beneath our feet. This is Derinkuyu, the deepest of Cappadocia's underground metropolises, where Byzantine Christians carved not just shelter but entire civilizations into the yielding stone. When Arab Ghazi raids thundered across the Anatolian plateau in the 8th and 9th centuries, 20,000 souls could vanish into this labyrinth within moments, sealing themselves behind rolling stone doors that weighed nearly a ton each. The engineering marvel begins at the surface entrance, deliberately modest and easily concealed. A casual observer might mistake it for a simple storage cellar or wine cave. But beneath this deception lies a masterwork of Byzantine ingenuity that descends over 200 feet into darkness. Each level serves distinct purposes, organized with military precision that reflects the theme system's influence on civilian life. The uppermost chambers house livestock, their loin muffled by stone walls 3 feet thick. Below, family quarters carved with sleeping alcoves accommodate entire clans, while communal kitchens fill with the aroma of bread baking in ovens cut directly from living rock. Water flows through this underground realm like the lifeblood of a stone giant. Master engineers channeled underground springs through channels and cisterns, ensuring that siege could last months without surrendering to thirst. The sound of dripping water creates a constant percussion, marking time in chambers where sunlight never penetrates. Storage rooms preserve grain in massive earthenware jars, their contents protected from raiders above and rodents below by ingenious barriers carved into doorways and passages. But Derinkuyu reveals its true Byzantine soul in its sacred spaces. The Catholicon on the 7th level demonstrates how faith adapts to extraordinary circumstances. Barrel vaults soar as high as the stone permits, while carved iconostases frame altar spaces where priests celebrated divine liturgy by flickering candlelight. Frescoes depicting Christ Pantocrator and the Virgin Mary watch over congregations gathered in chambers that echo with centuries of whispered prayers. These underground chapels maintain spiritual connections to the great churches of Constantinople, preserving liturgical traditions even in their subterranean isolation. Kaymaklı, 8 kilometers distant, reveals a different approach to underground architecture. Connected to Derinkuyu by tunnels that stretch beneath the volcanic landscape, this city emphasizes community organization over sheer depth. Its 4 accessible levels showcase workshops where craftsmen continued their trades despite the chaos above. Blacksmiths hammered iron by forge light, their anvils ringing against stone walls. Wine cellars preserve amphorae from harvests that predate the Arab invasions, while storage chambers contain tools, weapons, and precious metals that sustain these communities through their darkest hours. The ventilation systems represent perhaps the greatest triumph of Byzantine underground engineering. Vertical shafts, some plunging the entire depth of these cities, channel fresh air through networks so sophisticated that modern engineers struggle to understand their principles. Air flows continuously through even the deepest chambers, preventing the accumulation of smoke from oil lamps and cooking fires. These same shafts serve as communication networks, allowing whispered messages to travel between levels and enabling coordinated responses to threats above. Defense permeates every aspect of these underground cities. Narrow passages force invaders into single file, while murder holes allow defenders to rain stones and boiling liquids on intruders. Rolling stone doors can seal entire sections, creating impregnable fortresses within fortresses. Escape tunnels provide hidden routes to distant exits, emerging in concealed locations miles from the main entrances. False passages lead raiders into dead ends, while genuine routes remain hidden behind carefully disguised doorways. The social fabric of these communities adapted to their unique circumstances. Refectories accommodate hundreds for communal meals that strengthen bonds forged in darkness. Schools continue education in chambers lit by oil lamps, ensuring that literacy and learning survive even underground. Scriptoriums preserve manuscripts and documents that maintain connections to the broader Byzantine world, while monastic chambers provide spaces for contemplation and prayer. Archaeological evidence suggests these cities remained active through the 11th century, their populations emerging only when Byzantine military victories secured the surface world. Tool marks still visible on chamber walls record the labor of generations who expanded these refuges level by level, room by room. Storage jars bear inscriptions in Greek, preserving names and dates that connect us to the individuals who called this underground realm home. As we ascend from these depths, leaving behind chambers that house thousands in their protective embrace, we carry with us the whispers of a civilization that refused to surrender. In Derinkuyu and Kaymaklı, Byzantine Christians didn't merely survive the darkest period of their empire's history. They created a hidden world where culture, faith, and community flourished in the heart of stone itself.
The gentle flicker of oil lamps casts dancing shadows across carved walls where Byzantine families gather for evening prayers. In the Catholicon of Derinkuyu, 20 feet beneath the surface, voices rise in ancient hymns that echo through chambers hewn from volcanic tuff. Children press close to their parents on stone benches, their faces illuminated by candlelight as they learn the prayers that connect them to Constantinople and the empire above. Daily life in these depths follows rhythms unknown to the surface world. Families wake not to sunlight, but to the soft glow of carefully tended flames. In refectories carved from solid rock, communal meals become sacred rituals that bind communities together in shared purpose. The scraping of wooden spoons against ceramic bowls mingles with hushed conversations in Greek as residents plan the day's activities within their stone sanctuary. Education continues uninterrupted in the underground darkness, in chambers